Dzisiaj pogadamy sobie o sekretnym planie Tytana Kamery. Co tym planem jest tak naprawdę? Bo szczerze mówiąc, poszedł tam tylko po to, żeby zwabić te mocne toalety, no to tak średnio, ale być może tam jest coś innego. Mamy Iron Cameraman, który opowie nam też o tym. Będziemy sobie razem rozmawiać. Zapraszam serdecznie. No właśnie, jaki jest jego plan? To jest, słuchajcie, ważne.
Act done in haste that could cost the TV man Titan his life? Or is there some kind of noble...
Nie wiem, moim zdaniem może w jakiś sposób uwięzi tego Juggernauta w tym wymiarze. To ja cały czas o tym myślę, nie?
As Defuk recently posted shorts that again featured the plan. But that's not the most
No
interesting
właśnie.
part. What armada was the scientist talking about? And most...
No właśnie, armada. To wygląda tak, jakby, wiecie, armada mi się kojarzy z taką, wiecie, to było nazywane na flotę portugalską i hiszpańską statków. Więc tu może oni wiecie, ale statków takich, co pływają po wodzie, a tu może być użyte jako takich, wiecie, latających. To jest ciekawe, nie? No właśnie, i kto jest tutaj w tej bazie? Bo to widać, że to TV, jakiś kameraman nagrywa. I to nie jest camera woman, nie?
I mean, their base is the most secret place in the world. Who allowed cameraman to be there? Or was it someone else? Whatever the answer is.
No właśnie, to jest dziwne. Może to jest naukowiec jakiś kamera albo co.
Logical and intriguing question arises.
Albo oni uwolnili tego, Lucky'ego, nie?
Why film this at all? Doesn't it mean that the POV character we're seeing everything from is a traitor? Today we'll deal with that.
No właśnie, może to jest, wiecie, oni ich z ukrycia nagrywają i to jest ten. To jest no, jeden z braci.
And basically we'll discuss the whole shorts down to the
No bo oni nawet na niego uwagi nie
from the way
zwracają,
the
nie?
TV scientist drinks coffee to the skibidi egg that watched everything that happens on the base of the TV man. Well, let's not
To było
hesitate to
jajko?
get started on our analysis. And don't forget to put like and subscribe
Wy
to the
też
channel.
zostawcie
Let's
lajeczka.
go. At the
Dziękuję
beginning of the
bardzo.
short, we see the cameraman's troops advancing from his perspective, observing the events before part 1 of episode 77, as mentioned in the description. The camera then zooms out, and we see the Titan's TV man saying,
Ale szybko naprawili tego Tytana kamerę, nie?
"That's not enough power. They've lost their guidance and are marching to their imminent deaths. Are we going to stay and watch them die?" After that, he turns to the TV man scientist. By the way, interesting detail. On the head of the TV man, Titan sits his little brother. Perhaps he just decided to ride
A jest
Titan
tam
or something.
rzeczywiście ktoś, ty.
He's doing, namely fixing breakages from previous battles, or just chilling on it, who knows.
Ty,
We've
rzeczywiście
seen this
tam był
before, for
Tytan.
example, in an additional scene in season 24 when he first appeared, he also had a TV guy on his head. It
Ty,
can
on
be
może
considered
zawsze
a nice
tam ma
tradition
TV guya.
already. After TV man Titan's phrase, the TV man scientist replies, "It takes sacrifice to achieve progress."
No właśnie,
Before fighting,
poświęcenie,
we
nie?
need better samples to develop upgrades. To this, Titan, raising his tone, yells,
No to jest zastanawiające, nie?
"You goofy
Że oni
goober! By
dalej oni potrzebują jakichś tych
staying
dodatków.
here, we aren't getting anything worthy," and points his finger at the TV man standing next to him. This TV man may have been in an
No
additional
właśnie,
scene
może
in
to być
episode
ten z tego,
76,
nie? Z tego
as it's
odcinka.
odd that TV Titan pokes his finger at him for no reason. Most likely, Titan knows what he did and disapproves of his actions, trying to hurt him, or this TV man was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. There was also a little noticed detail. When the broadcast cut off, Titan was holding a remote control. Maybe he can use the remote to
O
switch
właśnie, ty, patrzcie, ciekawe o co chodzi tu. Co on tutaj ma na tym tablecie?
between the cameraman's cameras, which is an interesting ability. By the way, the agents probably drink and eat
A tam też coś było, patrzcie, ktoś. Tu ktoś jest chyba.
By the way, the agents probably drink and eat human food out of habit, even though it doesn't contain oil or anything like that. It's a habit left over from their past lives when they were human. After Titan insulted the scientist, he replied, "Speakerman Titan been preparing their armada this whole time. They can handle this. As soon as you get outside..."
No właśnie, ta armada, no to myślę, że Boom to zrobił celowo użył takiego słowa. Czemu nie użył wojska albo armii albo coś? A armada kojarzy się albo z statkami kosmicznymi, albo statkami pływającymi, ale przecież tu nie ma wody, więc chyba tu chodzi o to, że oni będą latać jakoś, nie?
The Astros will put their best fighters on you. Titan, hearing this, turns away and says, "That is the plan. And at the end, you can spot something that looks like a skibidi egg. For those who
Nie, to nie było jajko, to jest część tego. To jest broń, Astro. Część z broni.
For those who don't remember,
Ty, to w takim razie, czyżby tu była Skibidi Mutant? I mutantka i ci kamerzy z tego, co wzięli tę część od tego Juggernauta mini?
this egg also appeared in 3
to nie
parts of
jajko było.
episode 70 and was occasionally glimpsed in Troll Leaks, as well as Microwave Man. So it's probably just a joke and nothing more. Though now I remembered that there was also a character with an egg instead of a head in the recent 3-part 77 episode.
Ale
So
bym powiedział, że to TV Woman
could
sterowała
be
tym.
considered a reference to that. Well, having figured out the shorst, it's worth talking about what it was about. As we understand from the conversation of the TV men, there are 2 sides to their race right now. The first side are TV man Titan, TV woman, Big TV man, and TV daddy, who we saw in part 3 of episode 77. And then the second side is the rest of the
No
TV
właśnie,
men.
inne podejście
Have
mają
a
do
little
walki.
disagreement because the first side doesn't want ordinary agents to sacrifice hundreds of their lives for the sake of some specimens. And the other side, meanwhile, does not care about the other agents in the
Może TV Menom to jest na rękę, żeby, wiecie, osłabić kamery i głośniki na
alliance.
przykład,
And
nie?
they are more important to them now specimens than soldiers. From what we conclude that in the future in their race may begin a fairly large conflict because of this. And perhaps very soon, because as we understand, TV man Titan did not follow the order of the scientist to stay at the base and left, deciding to execute his plan in action, which we saw in part 3 and will see in part 4. And he was joined by the other 3 TV men and Skibidi Egg of
Ja nie wiem, czy to jest rzeczywiście Skibidi jajko. Potem Boom Elite zapytał się, co to jest i Boom powiedział, że to TV Woman kontrolowała tego Astro.
course. But that's not the only thing that interested me. What does an armada of speakermen mean? Most likely, the whole time we haven't seen the speakermen, they were preparing an armada against the Astro toilets with their speakerman Titan. The title suggests that this means a huge technological leap for their entire race, because even the TV men believe in them. And that
No ciekawe, że ten naukowiec, który jest w miarę taki ogarnięty, wierzy tak w ulepszenia głośników, nie? Ciekawe. Tylko, że głośniki nie mogą być mega mocne od Astro, bo by to się mijało z celem za
saying a
całej
lot.
fabuły,
I
nie?
think we'll see some sort of tech army, possibly flying ships, and maybe something like the ship from episode 60, but in larger numbers. Heading it all up would be Speakerman Titan with Astro Tech. I believe their armada will be an air cluster of ships, which is logical to counter the Astro Air Force, because Astro toilets mostly specialize in aerial attacks, so it's more effective to use airborne battle tech against them, rather than ground troops like the cameramen in episode 77.
No może tak się podzielą i teraz każdy będzie miał swoją specjalność. Kamery, armia naziemna, głośniki lotnicza, a TV menu to do zadań
We
specjalnych,
can
nie?
argue about this for a long time, but in any case, we realize that soon the speakermen will show their true strength. But still, what is the plan of the TV man Titan
No właśnie, jaki
that
jest jego
DeFook
plan?
wrote about in various posters? Let's break it down. At the end of the short, Titan said that
No i czy ten plan mu się powiedzie, nie?
his plan is to draw out the strongest Astro toilet fighters. Sure, he put it a little differently, but the point remains the same. This explains why, at the end of part 3, Titan challenged the strongest Astros to a fight, stating that everyone else is trash. Now, it makes sense why he didn't run away after defeating the other Astro toilets, but stayed behind to
Czyli oni chcą pokonać Juggernauta, żeby zdobyć ulepszenia.
wait for the battle. This is where I wondered what his plan could be.
No ale jak go pokona? No jedynie to gdzieś go uwięzić, nie?
Perhaps it's a reference to the fact that an armada of speakers will soon appear.
Chyba, że wchłonie, bo wiemy, że Tytan TV Man może wchłaniać energię. Ale czy taką energię od Juggernauta
But for
wchłonie?
now, it's unlikely, as their Titan, as well as the speakers themselves, are now badly shabby. And then another thought occurred to me. We heard the TV Man scientists say that they needed better specimens for the upgrades, and that the cameramen's sacrifices weren't that important in comparison. Angry at these words, Titan called him the
Chyba, że Tytan TV Man chce się
bad
poświęcić?
B word, stating that they wouldn't get anything of value that way. However, the scientist countered by mentioning the armada of speakers, and most importantly, that if Titan goes out, the Astros will send their strongest fighters at him. It is after this that Titan says this is his plan. Titan's plan is to get the best specimens
No i dobra, no tak, tylko co? Co im to da? Przecież nie są w stanie pokonać
without
Juggernauta.
sacrificing entire armies
Jak?
of cameramen. Flashback to the moment when Titan has killed all the Astros and is approached by his little friends, suggesting that he return to base. We hear the sound of a teleporter, and then notice that Titan was holding a dead Astro. This hints at his intention to teleport the body back to base for study, but he was interrupted by other enemies. However, Titan wasn't scared, but called them trash and challenged the strongest to a fight, after which the Juggernaut appeared. Why do I think that Titan decided to obtain the specimen in this way? He most likely witnessed the events of episode 76 and didn't like it. He doesn't
Chyba, że robi to specjalnie, żeby przekonać kamery, że też, że oni są
want
ważni,
hundreds of agents
żeby nie
dying for
było wojny
samples while
domowej.
he's holed up in the base. I recall that in episode 74, cameraman Titan saved most of the agents, including the Titans, by sacrificing himself. It seems to me that TV man Titan remembers this and is saddened by the loss, so it's hard for him to see the cameraman race die out before his eyes,
No ciekawe to jest,
especially
nie?
after one of them saved his life. In fact, after Titan's cameraman goes missing, he is kind of a lookout for the remaining cameramen as a sign of respect for his friend. Thus, his plan is to get the specimens without sacrificing the others, but
No nie wiem, ty, no to dla mnie to teraz ciężko, czy Juggernaut... No nie wiem, Tytan TV Man na pewno szansy nie ma z Juggernautem, nie? No to jest bez
it was
wątpliwości.
taken in a rush of emotion and
I
not
co
really
teraz się
well
stanie?
thought out. Because of this haste, Titan may face consequences in part 4 of episode 77. But what is the point of the plan? Is it really just to go into battle against all the
A zastanawiam się, czemu Tytan TV Man, jak ktoś do niego strzela tą energią, nie zrobi tego wymiaru, żeby, słuchajcie, tak jak z tą ręką, żeby ta kula trafiła w plecy tego, co wystrzelił,
Astro
nie?
toilets? I don't think so. TV man Titan, although dumb at times, it's unlikely he would just go out against the Astros. I have a little guess. Energy. Note, if Titans used to be badly wounded or losing a fight, their core would become dull and weak, making them much more vulnerable as a result. But what are we seeing with the TV man Titan? In part 3, the energy is literally swirling around him, especially near the core. It's likely that the energy that's literally spewing out of him is shown for a reason. It's like his
No właśnie, tak, rzeczywiście, energia aż emanuje z niego,
core
nie?
is preparing
Czyżby jednym takim mega uderzeniem chciał pokonać
for some kind
Juggernauta?
of massive energy release or something, and it's likely that DeFook hasn't fully developed the core of the TV man Titan yet, and he's used this plot twist many times before, like in episode 64, where the Skibidi toilets had a bomb in them. I always assumed it was his core that was the most powerful and dangerous. With that dealt with, perhaps it's worth stepping back a bit from the topic of the TV man Titan plan and discussing something equally fascinating. On whose behalf were we watching these shorts? Which cameraman was honored to be at the TV man base, the most secret location in the
No
entire
właśnie, kto to nagrywa, nie?
series? Going through a lot of options, I'm guessing it's someone from Scientist Cameraman, namely the chief engineer we saw in
No chyba, że
episode
on, no.
74 and episode 76 in an additional scene. The thing is, the TV men probably need smart guys, and so let in scientists from other races, choosing the best. One of those was the engineer.
No może jest tak, że tutaj są wszyscy naukowcy z tych ras i razem coś obmyślają, jakieś te, wiecie, nowe technologie, no ale czy
Plus,
tak jest?
it would explain why the TV man Titan had cameraman technology, particularly the energy shield. I
No,
mean,
a ty,
it was the
rzeczywiście,
chief
no łączy się z tym, bo ma tarczę Tytan TV Man.
scientist
jak
who could have
kamera.
told the TV men about this useful technology. If not 74 episode, where we were shown an episode on behalf of TV
On też ma przecież, Daddy ma głośniki, jak widzicie. Tu.
of TV daddy with a camera, then here we could stop at the option of cameraman engineer. But if it turns out that the person filming this footage was one of the TV men with the overhead camera, it could mean one of
Chyba,
two
że to TV Daddy jest, słuchajcie, perspektywa, nie?
things. Either he is a traitor who filmed this with the
Ciekawe.